we have signs of very great changes occurring on the planet.
Everything happened so fast.
There's creeks dried up that have never dried up in my lifetime.
We got a forest here that's already at the edge.
We're going into uncharted territory.
Our planet is at a crossroads. Global warming isn't out of control, but it soon could be. The warning signs are all around us. This is the challenge of climate change. What can we do about global warming? What will happen to the Earth if we don't? The temperature is rising. Each degree is critical.
Just 1 degree or so of
1 degree warmer than they should. Bump it up 2 degrees.
3 degrees.
Threshold is about 3 degrees of global warming.
3 to 4 degrees of warming.
You're starting to look at 4 degrees.
3 degrees, 4 degrees, 5 degrees.
6 degrees is almost unimaginable.
Imagine the 21st century if global warming accelerates. Where does the next superstorm hit? The next scorching heat wave? The next catastrophe? As the world warms degree by degree, the debate has ended. Scientists around the globe agree we now live in a world warmer by almost 1 full degree Celsius. Tracking the Earth's vital signs is an armada. Thousands of ships at sea, tens of thousands of stations on land, satellites monitoring from space. Scientists feed the data into the most advanced computer models to calculate what it means for our future. The predictions are alarming. In 4 decades, glaciers in the Himalayas, the source of water for millions, could be gone. Within 50 years, Greenland's melting ice sheet could be unstoppable. By the end of this century, the Amazon rainforest, home to half the world's biodiversity, could wither to an arid savanna. We're on the brink of 1 degree warmer, hotter than it's been in thousands of years. A temperature rise between 1 and 11 degrees Fahrenheit is possible over the next century. Each degree means a radically different future. In some parts of the world, the first signs of global warming may be arriving with a vengeance. In Australia, bushfires are a natural part of the ecosystem, especially in drought years. But climate change may be pushing conditions from bad to worse. Australia's east coast is a tinderbox. National Geographic author Mark Linus spent years compiling data from climate models to understand how each degree of warming could threaten the planet.
It's very difficult for people to visualize the future impacts of global warming, and it's something that I really wanted to try and do to help people visualize the reality, because it isn't actually intuitive that the emissions from your car exhaust are going to be melting a glacier in the Himalayas in 50 years' time.
While experts estimate the average temperature could rise up to 6 degrees Celsius, or nearly 11 degrees Fahrenheit over the next 100 years, the future isn't set in stone. Even a small shift in the Earth's temperature, just 6 degrees, can have extreme consequences.
A 6-degree shift from one day to the next is the sort of thing that we expect with normal weather fluctuations. If it's 6 degrees hotter tomorrow, I might just be wearing some shorts. 6 degrees in terms of a global average change, 6 degrees colder is the difference between now and the last ice age, 18,000 years ago, when the ice sheets themselves advanced to just the edge of Oxford, and in places the ice cap was more than a mile thick.
Just 6 degrees of cooling transformed the Earth into an ice age. Imagine it 6 degrees hotter. The very earliest changes would start high above the Earth. The atmosphere is our buffer zone between the planet's surface and outer space. A small percentage are the greenhouse gases, a cocktail of water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and ozone. They are like a dome over the planet, retaining just enough of the sun's reflected energy to maintain temperatures that support life. As the amounts of those gases increase, they trap more heat and can radically affect the climate all over the planet. For the last 250 years, greenhouse emissions have soared as we find more and more ways to use more and more energy. CO2 is the hidden price we pay. Carbon dioxide rises into the atmosphere from the energy that powers all our modern conveniences. It's literally in the air we breathe. There are now 383 carbon dioxide molecules out of every million. It seems minuscule, but as the amount of CO2 rises, so does the average temperature all over the planet.
Doubling of CO2 is a guarantee for a global disaster. The dangerous level is about 450 parts per million, and we're already up to 383. Additional global warming of 1 or 2 degrees Celsius is a very big deal.
All we're doing is saying what we think our best estimate is what will happen if we carry on the route we're going. So all you can do is to lay out a number of possible pictures of the future and hope people will select the right one.
Selecting the right scenario means lowering CO2 emissions. Experts agree it won't be an easy fix, but there's reason for hope. Some potential solutions are already in place, many others still on the drawing board. How will we respond? What will the planet look like if it's warmer by 1 degree, 2 degrees, 3 degrees or more? Are we willing to take that risk? If the world warms by 1 degree, the Arctic is ice-free for half the year, opening the legendary Northwest Passage for ships. Tens of thousands of homes around the Bay of Bengal are flooding. Hurricanes begin hitting the South Atlantic. Severe droughts in the western U.S. cause shortages in global grain and meat markets. This could be our world plus 1 degree.
At 1 degree additional warming to today, we're likely to see the emergence of new deserts in the western half of the United States, from Texas in the south right up to the Canadian border, is in danger of becoming new hyper-arid areas where really no crops can be grown at all.
In western Nebraska, ranchers depend on spring rains that aren't very dependable these days. Warming of just 1 degree could turn some of America's most fertile ranchland into desert again. 6,000 years ago, much of the American West was part of a vast desert dominating the continent. A minor shift in the Earth's orbit caused the summer sun to warm slightly, just enough to radically transform this entire region. Only a very thin layer of topsoil covers the desert sand. It still lurks just inches below the surface. All it took was 1 or 2 degrees warmer, and the moisture disappeared. The 1930s gave us a glimpse of just how fragile the land can be.
So think of a repeat of the Dust Bowl situation and multiply it by about 20. This could devastate a huge part of the western United States.
The Earth's average temperature has always fluctuated, and a variable climate isn't unusual. It's the pace of climate change today that's unprecedented.
If you had asked us 10 or 20 years ago, what would be the impact of 1 or 2 degrees additional warming, we would say, well, probably we can live with that.
NASA climate scientist James Hansen was one of the first to sound the alarm about global warming. The threat has only escalated as he's struggled to be heard.
What we realize now is that we're getting so close to tipping points that we're going to have to stabilize atmospheric CO2.
Studying climates in the past has given Hansen a window onto the dangers posed by global warming.
In the last million years, it's never been more than 1 degree Celsius warmer than it is now. What we are doing now with the human-made greenhouse gases is an order of magnitude larger, and it's being introduced very rapidly.
The planet has experienced climate change before, but it usually plays out over thousands or millions of years. Now global warming is measured in decades, even years. It means scores of species won't be able to keep up. Warming at this speed could send us into uncharted territory, like nothing we've experienced in the history of life on Earth.
The UN is issuing a dire warning on climate change. It released a report compiled by some of the world's leading scientists, and it finds that nearly 1 million species are at risk of extinction because of humans.
Robin, this 1,800-page report is designed to be a wake-up call. You know, since just the early 1990s, so a tiny sliver of human history, the footprint of our urban sprawl has more than doubled, and apparently that is just not sustainable. So after years of research and 6 days meeting in Paris, experts have put out this report, and here are some of the horrific headlines.
Around 1 million species now face extinction, many within decades, because of humans. 3/4 of all the land on Earth has been significantly altered in just the past 50 years by humans. Plastic pollution at sea is up tenfold since 1980. Our fault.
For a species that named itself Homo sapiens, the wise man, we're being incredibly stupid.
The human population has doubled in just 50 years. Our agriculture consumes more and more land. Natural habitats are shrinking. We continue to pollute. The climate continues to warm, and natural ecosystems crumble at an accelerating rate. 145 leading experts from 50 countries spent 3 years compiling this gargantuan report, reaching frightening conclusions.
The other organisms of the planet are our life support systems. You don't have to worry about them if you don't care about eating, if you don't care about breathing, if you don't care about having fresh water and so on, then you can just forget about it. I'm very, very optimistic about what we could do in theory. I'm very pessimistic about what we will do.
1/8 of all animal and plant species on Earth now at risk of extinction because of us. And as this report states, nature is essential for human existence.